I guarantee you're gonna love this Know the Cause. Why? Watch this.
Hi, my name's Abby, and today on Know the Cause, I'm gonna teach you how to make cute, tiny, adorable little BLT quinoa cups.
So what about diet? Simply put, you must eat what fungi don't. They thrive and grow through the body when they're given carbohydrates and sugars.
We know that if you take away these nutrients, there's certain things you'll feel, like if you don't have enough vitamin C, you get scurvy, right? So we know when you don't have them, there are symptoms and diseases.
Have you been told you have hypertension or high blood pressure? It's called the silent killer because it's usually unnoticed.
All that and a whole lot more on this Know the Cause. My name is Doug Kaufman. For the past 40 years, I've dedicated my life and even my career to finding the root cause of disease. Join me in a team of physicians, pharmacists, and scientists, and soon you too will know the cause. You know, I think today we are being hyper-sold antidepressant medication. I really do. I mean, I think we're prescribing these drugs at a rapid pace. Why? I don't know. Maybe because we're not prescribing hormone replacement therapy in the billions like we used to. Maybe we needed a catch up. So today everybody's got depression. I'm not dissing that some people don't have real depression, but I'm guessing it isn't 200 million Americans. That's about how many people are taking some kind of an antipsychiatric or antidepressant medication. It's amazing, folks. How did it get to this? How sick are we, really? There was a book written 35 years ago. What were you doing 35 years ago? It was called The Missing Diagnosis. This guy was amazing, a medical doctor, Orion Truss. Let me just read you the front of the book. For many of you, it's going to strike home. They say you're neurotic, but do you experience depression, anxiety, irrational irritability, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, heartburn, indigestion, loss of self-confidence, inability to cope, lethargy, symptoms from contact with foods and chemical odors, migraine headaches, acne, urethritis, cystitis, vaginal yeast infections, PMS, tensions, yada, yada, yada. You could almost, you know, that book just goes on. The cover just goes on inside the book. 35 years ago, this doctor and Dr. Bill Crook, remember him, the yeast connection? They were saying that a yeast called Monillia, Candida albicans, was linked to depression. Okay, where have we gone? Look at this. This graphic, I think, will blow a lot of you away. Yeast infection linked to mental illness. In a study prompted in part by suggestions from us, people with mental illnesses, research found that a history of Candida yeast infections was more common in a group of men with schizophrenia and bipolar disorders than in those without the disorders. Okay, time to come back to me, right? Sidebar, real men have yeast infections. Folks, we lack the reproductive organs the women have. This yeast can grow inside you and drive you crazy. Any of you ever looked at your tongue? When you've taken too many antibiotics, it turns white. Okay, that's just inside our body. Men, I believe, end up with yeast infections of the prostate. I think that's very, very common. Doctors don't. Doctors call that early prostate disease or prostate cancer. Okay, so when you get right down to it, men who had schizophrenia or bipolar disease had lots of yeast in their body. What about women? And that women with schizophrenia or bipolar who tested positive for this yeast perform worse on standard memory tests than women with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder who don't have any infection in their body of yeast. Johns Hopkins, circa 2016, just a few years ago. Let's cut to the chase. Why are we all so depressed? Life circumstances, finances, marriage, etc. Folks, we are told by healthcare providers that we can't help it. There's nothing we can do except take this medication. Some of them might be right. Not all of them are. I think we are guilty today in allopathic medicine of hyper-diagnosing everything from scalp problems to gout and everything in between our body. We're hyper-diagnosing diseases like diabetes, cancer, and so forth. Why? Because doctors didn't learn about the single most important thing they should have learned about in medical school. It's a field called mycology. MYCO means fungus. Oh, they learned that much about bacteriology, that much about virology, that much about mycology. And yet this yeast can cause cancer, Doug. It can cause diabetes. It's how we give laboratory animals, mice, rats, bunnies, cancer and diabetes with a mold we inject into their body. If I had depression, what would I, Doug Kaufman, do? Look, I'd look for sad events in my life, traumas in my life, and then I'd look at my diet. I'd make a 14-day diet diary, snacks included, movie theater popcorn included. And I bet you're going to find after 2 weeks, wow, I'm eating a lot of sugar, a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of grains in my diet, a lot of alcohol. You know what all that does? Perfect fodder for yeast to grow in. If this book was right 35 years ago, if these doctors at Johns Hopkins are right in 2016, why are we fighting them? Why don't you try a month on my diet? It's free. It's on the website, the Kaufman Diet. Just go to it, try the Kaufman One diet for a month, and see what happens, folks. It's in all of our best interest to have you start thinking, yeah, I am back in control of my own depression. Okay, good luck on that. Do you have hypertension, high blood pressure? Here's a pharmacist that says, talk to your doctor about something called garlic. Afterwards, what does fungus have to do with cancer? What are doctors saying causes cancer? Watch this.
Have you been told you have hypertension or high blood pressure? It's called the silent killer because it's usually unnoticed until you get a heart attack or stroke. A recently published study has discovered amazing news. Garlic, one of our favorite antifungal spices around here, was shown to be just as effective at lowering blood pressure as the leading medication, which is called atenolol.
Man, we are really a society of drugs. I mean, not nefarious drugs, prescriptive drugs. I mean, it's so amazing, folks. We have caused antibiotic resistance. Why? We prescribe billions and billions, probably, look, 4 billion prescriptions plus are written a year just in America. And a lot of those are antibiotics. Let's say 1 billion of them are. And then you go back 50 years, how many antibiotics have we prescribed? Now we're at the point where they aren't working anymore. Their answer, more drugs. My answer, defend your immune system so you don't keep getting the bacterial or fungal infections, okay? Now we've got a problem. Not only are we becoming bacteria resistant, antibiotic resistant, we're becoming antifungal resistant. The antifungal drugs aren't working anymore, and they purport that the reason they aren't working is because we prescribe so many of them. Really? Walk into your doctor's office and try and get an antibiotic. Boom. Walk into a doctor's office and say, I'd like some Sporanox because I have a cancer tumor. What? You're not getting an antifungal. Anybody gets an antibiotic, right? Doctors don't learn a whole lot about antifungals. Vaginal yeast, ringworm, jock itch, toenail fungus. But what if fungi in our body made lumps? Ovarian cysts, nasal polyps, colon polyps, etc. I think they do. So we have a problem, folks, and here's the answer from an American medical perspective. Medical press says a step toward a new drug to treat fungal infections that what? Kill 1.6 million people annually? Are you serious? 1.6 million people die of fungal diseases. And let me give you an overview. We have thousands of antibiotics. That's why medical school focuses on reaching in here and writing a script, reaching in here and writing a script. Get lots of antibiotics out to the people. We got a lot of them to sell. There are 100, 140 maybe antivirals. This many antibiotics, this many antivirals. What do we have, a dozen, 20 antifungals? A student is going to learn in medical school, therefore, that fungus doesn't play a role in anything. There's only a dozen or 2 antifungals in the pharmacy, and yet 1.6 million people not get sick, die of fungal conditions every year. At very least, friends, this has opened the eyes of the medical community. Now, let's walk down this aisle. Is the answer more drugs? Do we need more drugs? Well, sure, Doug. How do we keep fungus from coming on board? Fungi parasitize man. I mean, it's amazing. When I got back in Vietnam, I was covered with, jungle rot, and I'm sure that's how the yeast and the fungus entered my body. These are called mycobacterium, but anytime I see myco, that means fungus. Do we need more of these, or do I need to get them out of my body a different way? Vitamin C has antifungal properties. Plants have phenolic, P-H-E-N, phenolic compounds, all of which have antifungal properties. Man, I'm juicing spinach and kale and carrots and so forth. So what about diet? Simply put, you must eat what fungi don't. They thrive and grow through the body when they're given carbohydrates and sugars. The Kaufman diet, my namesake diet, is on my website. Try it for a couple of months and see how it feels. I do a Facebook show, I do a television show every day, Monday through Friday, you guys know that. And the questions we get asked most, the producer John and I always look at each other and go, Dr. Mike Smith, he'll have the answer. A lot of you want to know about supplements. Do they work? How do they work? Which do I take, etc. I know of no one more knowledgeable in this area than Dr. Mike Smith. He is the senior health scientist at Life Extension. He joins us right now. Dr. Smith, thank you.
Hi, Doug. It's great to see you.
Great to see you again. Look, we're both relaxed. We're both relaxed in our own offices. He in Orlando, me here in Dallas. So let's jump off right there, because the number one question I get is, do these things work? I'm spending $30, $40, $50 a month. Are they working?
Yeah, I know. So that's a common question, right? Well, the answer to that is yes, and I can back that up with science, right? That's what we do here at Life Extension. Everything's evidence-based. So when someone asks that question, the first thing I say, well, what supplement are you interested in? So maybe they say omega-3 fish oil, or maybe they say pomegranate. There's different nutrients, so you got to be specific with that question. But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. There are thousands upon thousands of peer-reviewed clinical trial publications that we rely on to show people that these supplements actually do work. And then another way of thinking of it too, most of the supplements, right, Doug, they're food-based, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking about antioxidants, polyphenols, omega fats. These things are found in nature, things you eat. Some things your body makes, right? So we know just at that level that if my body is making ubiquinol CoQ10 to make cell energy, if I'm going to supplement with CoQ10, it's simply going to feed into that system. But then we don't stop there. We back it up with the science. So I could go to PubMed, I can go to different resources, I can put in CoQ10 in heart disease, CoQ10 in brain health, whatever it is, and you'll just see tons of, again, peer-reviewed publications on these nutrients that we believe in. And then the other thing to remember too is I've been taking supplements pretty consistently for about 20 years now. Life Extension has customers that have been taking the supplements for even longer, and they are doing well. We have people reporting that their blood pressure is better, that they have less risk of heart disease or Alzheimer's, that cancer was kept at bay. There's all kinds of what we call anecdotal evidence, historical evidence that support the use of supplements. So you got the science, right? Tons of it.
Yep.
Number two, these are natural substances that our bodies use every day to stay healthy. And number three, we have the historical evidence, right? That people will tell you throughout history that I've been using this and this has worked for me. So when you put that all together, yes, they work. We wouldn't be doing this if they didn't work. I know you take a lot of supplements, right, Doug?
You get my bills, right? Yeah, don't worry, Dr. Smith. Check's in the mail. I'll give it out to you. No, I do take a lot of supplements, and that begs another important question, and that is, if I miss my 2 a day, your multi, my urine is no longer bright yellow. There are supplements that you take, folks, that you don't feel. It isn't that power punch, but they're in there, right?
That's such an important point, right? We don't suggest vitamin C to people because vitamin C does something for you in your cognition, or you take vitamin C and you feel like you could fly or whatever. No. Vitamin C is working at that cell level. All of these nutrients are working at the cellular level to make the cell function better, the tissue function better, the organ function better, and ultimately you function better. We know that if you take away these nutrients, there's certain things you'll feel, like if you don't have enough vitamin C, you get scurvy, right? So we know when you don't have them, there are symptoms and diseases. But when you put them into your system at an optimal level, you're not necessarily feeling it, but we know the importance of vitamin C. We know the importance of vitamin D, of CoQ10, the omega oils. We know what these things do, these nutrients do in your body to promote physiological health. And so just because you don't feel it, it doesn't mean it's not doing any good. Another good example of that, if you have high blood pressure and I write you a prescription for a beta blocker, you don't feel that. I mean, your pressure comes down, so there's a sign that it's working, but you're not sitting there saying, oh, I feel a certain way on a prescription drug. It's the same with the pharmaceuticals as well. So again, the question is, do supplements work? Yes, right? Yes. Yep. I can confidently tell your audience that there is ample preclinical and clinical data on many, many, many supplements, number one. Number two, there's historical anecdotal evidence for the use of supplements. And number three, these are basic building blocks of a healthy human, right? We're not talking about anything crazy here.
Yep. Don't worry about that. Listen, Dr. Smith.
Everybody's calling me. Look at it.
Listen, here's the take.
Question. No, I'm just kidding.
That's okay. Take-home message, folks. Eat right. Do get that body moving. And thank you for honoring our sponsor, Life Extension. Now, do you have questions about their supplements? Toll-free number right there. Pick it up and call. You may not get Dr. Smith, but you'll get a very well-educated person to hold your hand and walk you through it. Thank you, Dr. Smith. Really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You bet. Bye-bye. I know it's not polite to drool, but every time I think about Abby in that kitchen making, it sounds so benign, mini quinoa cups. Just wait. Here we go.
Hi, my name's Abby, and today on Know the Cause, I'm going to teach you how to make cute, tiny, adorable little BLT quinoa cups. These are great for an appetizer if you're going to a party and you want to make something ahead of time. They're great for little snacking. If you want to make it ahead of time and eat it for breakfast, it's also a really good option. It's just basic ingredients that we're going to mix together and put in the oven. So we're going to start with the first thing is quinoa. I've already pre-cooked this, so it's already done. I went ahead and cooked it in chicken broth, and we have the full recipe for cooking quinoa in chicken broth and everything on our website at knowthecause.com, so you can go there and take a look and see how I did it. I'm just going to add this to our bowl. Next, we're going to add some chopped tomato. It's about a medium-sized full chopped tomato. Then we're going to add around half a cup of bacon. This took me about 4 strips. Depending on the size of bacon that you get or where you get it from, it could take more or less, but it's around half a cup. It's pre-cooked, chopped, ready to go. Add that in. Now, we're going to add some eggs. It calls for 2 whole eggs, then 3 egg whites. So we're gonna go ahead and crack that in. And now we're gonna have this to save our egg yolks for a different recipe. Do your best not to get any shell in there. All right, now we're gonna set this aside for later. Like this. I'm gonna rinse my hands off real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, hands are all clean. You wanna make sure you go ahead and wash your hands in between using any kind of raw meat or egg or anything like that so you don't get anything contaminated. Okay, next, what do we have? We've got organic frozen chopped spinach. This comes in a little package. You're gonna need to defrost it and squeeze all the juice out, but it comes out to about a full cup of chopped spinach. And you also wanna go ahead and break it up a little bit because it makes it easier to stir in. We're gonna add that in. And let's see, our last ingredients, we're gonna be using cheese. This is a nice hard cheddar cheese. We're gonna add this. This is about a cup. And the reason we're using cheddar cheese is because it's naturally lactose-free. So you don't have to worry about having any kind of reactions or the sugar from the lactose or anything like that. And we're also adding Parmesan cheese. Now, one trick that I like to do, for me, and it's a good thing to know, is that I like to buy a block of cheese and grate it myself, because sometimes when you buy prepackaged shredded cheese, they'll add fillers to it to make sure it doesn't stick together. So sometimes it can be like a wheat or something like that. So you wanna, getting a block of cheese is guaranteed that there's not gonna be anything other than just cheese. Okay, and the last thing is we're gonna add 1 stalk of green onion. We're gonna go ahead and chop that up. And go ahead and put the onions in. Okay. All right, so now I got our nice big bowl, and we're gonna add salt and pepper to taste. A little bit of salt. I'm using coarse sea salt. And this is fresh ground black pepper. And now we're just gonna go ahead and mix it up. All right, that's ready. Now, I've got little muffin tins and went ahead and put muffin liners in them. You can use muffin liners if you want. If you don't have any, you can just go ahead and grease the pan, however, with whatever preferred oil you want. You can use butter, you can use a little bit of olive oil, a little spray, whatever you have, just to keep it from sticking to the actual pan. And then we're just gonna spoon a few of these. Okay, I've got 6 made here. I'm gonna set this aside and make the rest later. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the oven for 350 for around 15 to 17 minutes, just as long as, basically until they get a nice kind of crunchy golden brown on top. Okay, my quinoa bites are out of the oven. I've let them cool for a little bit so they're not super hot, but they're still warm. And I'm gonna go ahead and take a bite out of a few. Just take them out, go ahead and put them on a plate. So yeah, here we have nice, tiny little bite-sized quinoa BLT bites. Yeah, look at all that spinach. They're really good. They have a lot of flavor. You really get the little bits of flavor like the bacon and the tomato and the cheese and all the spinach and everything. They're really good. They're great for parties. They're great for little snacks. Again, you can get this all on knowthecause.com. Everything in this doesn't feed fungus, so everything is really good. It's all cough in one. And they're really easy to make. They're really easy to have, just hanging around the house if you just need quick little bites and stuff like that. So yeah, go ahead and make some. Let me know how you like them, and have a great day.
Did I not tell you about mini quinoa cups? Isn't that just to drool for? Thank you, Abby. Thank you, each and every one of you, for joining me. Thank you, folks, for the advertisers. Do you notice that we don't have cars and things like that within our ad time on this show? We sell things that we think help you. We try and help companies sell things, including life extension. When we get these questions, these big questions about supplements, and I'm not an expert in that area, but Dr. Michael Smith is. So thanks to Skype, the electronic industry, we can dial him up in Orlando and talk with him like we did today. And so I leave you with this thought today, among others. Could that yeast that can cause mental illness also induce a disease we called cancer? Every scientist worth his weight talks about we don't know what causes cancer. Don't we? We don't know what causes mental illness. Don't we? We sure get some clues on this show, folks, and I so appreciate you. I'm not a doctor. I'm here to try and educate you because I believe the road forks, and we need to learn about our body and our responsibility to take good care of our health. You can do that every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday live. Type me in a question. Email me a question on my Facebook Live, 3 to 4 p.m. Central on Tuesday and Thursday, 10 a.m. on Wednesday. God bless you.